today's video is going to include the usual suspects. It's going to be me complaining about the heat. It's going to be me complaining about the noise that's just around the area, you know. And it's going to be me complain extra about the heat because I've locked down the house. That means hopefully not very much sound, but also higher quality audio. Hopefully. Okay, so in 2019, I went on pretty much a year-long trip, and I hit a lot of countries in Southeast Asia and in Europe, and I did it on a budget. So I really didn't spend. I had a lot saved, but I came back with a lot because I like traveling on a budget, and I feel like traveling, especially if you're a young person, it's almost like a right. You should be able to go out, travel, and see other cultures, because the amount of life experience that you get from going and seeing, meeting people, like kind of being out in the world and kind of fending for yourself, so to speak, that's just immeasurable. That was such a crazy experience for myself. So I decided to start a blog about it, and I did this pretty much straight after I came back, and yeah, COVID happened, so not much traveling happening right now, but it will come to an end, hopefully, and when that happens, I'm hoping that everybody gets back into it, because it's such a cool thing to do. So in this video, I'm calling it ASMR advice, and I feel like I've learned quite a bit going. I know where to save money, I know where to make money while traveling, I know what decisions you should probably make, and you know, to give you the best experience. So I thought I would give you like just a general overview of some of the best things you could do. And look, you might know some of them already, some of them might be obvious, some of them might not be so obvious, but hopefully you'll get some value out of it. And if you get no value out of it, at least it'll be softly spoken and whispered, so you'll get some relaxation out of it, okay? So I've written a ultimate guide on this. It's about 4,000 words. It's like basically an essay. It's riddled with spelling errors, and I'll link it up. It's probably going to be there because I flipped the video. There. It'll be on the screen. I'm going to bring it up for me now as a guide for myself to kind of walk you through all the basics. But there's a lot on my blog about a lot of things. But basically, it's got a super clickbait title. It's How to Travel the World for Free. Now, what I mean by free is breaking even. So you might leave with 1,000, 2,000, but you should come back with that much as well. It's very doable. Things can be very cheap, but also it's not a prerequisite. You can absolutely do it on a budget. You don't have to strive to do it for free. Anyway, so I split this up into minimizing expenses, that's number one, and making money on the road, which is number two. And basically, with a bit of preparation and those two things, you can do a lot, and I'm talking a lot, for a little. And that was the whole premise of my trip. And I'm going to start with minimizing expenses, because it's one of the most easy things that you can do. And now I don't know what things are going to look like post-COVID, but there will always be budget airlines. Budget airlines are a big one, because what budget airlines do is they separate aspects of a ticket compared to a normal airline. So you get a super cheap base ticket, but then there are so many add-ons on it that just make it more expensive than a regular one. But if you know about all the add-ons and you know how to play the system, you can travel for super cheap. And that's what I did. I took a lot of flights in 2019, and it kind of all started with making one core decision that saved me probably $1,000. Speaking of planes, I told you I was going to stop at points and be like, hey, there's a plane. But it's and it's going to be kind of difficult for some people to grasp the fact that you can absolutely do this, but travel carry-on baggage only. 1 second, I'm going to put my laptop on the ground. Alright, we're good. Yes, correct. No check-in luggage, so no suitcases, no big bags. You just carry all of your stuff with your backpack. And some people right now are like, what? I can't do that. I've got so much stuff. I can't. Nah. But it's doable. Thousands and thousands of people do it. I did it. And no, it's not a guy thing. Plenty of ladies I ran into, backpackers, did it. And this saves you so much. Because check-in fees are ridiculous. They can go from $45 to $100 on budget airlines. And you don't have to wait for luggage. You can literally just leave the plane and go off. I saved probably upwards of $1,000 just by doing that. And there's a whole community based around this. If you go on Reddit, r/onebag, I'll link it up there as well. There's plenty of people exchanging what type of bags they go with and what type of stuff they pack. And trust me, you can pack a lot more than you think. I took the Osprey Farpoint 40. There's also a Osprey Fairview 40, and those are 40-litre bags, and they can fit an extraordinary amount. And it's just one of those decisions I made very early on, that I was going to be lightweight, it was going to be inexpensive, and yeah, you can pack. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to be packing a lot of stuff. Like the fewer things that you pack, forgot words there just for a second, the fewer things that you pack, the better off you're going to be. One pair of black running shoes can do anything. You can get into bars and pubs because they're black. You can go running because they're runners. They're breathable, they're walkable. You can even go on light hikes with them. Basically, anything that you can buy overseas at your destination, you just shouldn't take with you. Are you going to a place with beaches, like Southeast Asia? Don't carry flip-flops with you. Don't carry tank tops. You don't need any of that if you're going to get it for very, very cheap when you go over there. You don't need toothpaste in your bag. The hotel or hostel's probably going to have some. You don't need so much stuff. The lighter you get your bag, the cheaper and better your experience is going to be. Because you can take budget airlines, which are going to be a fraction of a ticket of a full service airline. You're not going to pay for check-in stuff, and it's just going to be overall great experience. And that's what I did. And just on luggage, like I said before, saved over $1,000. On airline tickets, saved way more than that. Speaking of minimizing expenses, use Google Flights or Skyscanner. Those two apps will save you so much money, and you might have heard of them already, but anything else is just, it's not worth it. They curate everything. You can put in a destination, you can put in where you're going from, an airport, and it'll tell you everything. If there's a cheaper date, like if it says, hey, if you leave in 2 days, you'll pay $200 less, it'll tell you, hey, there's an airport nearby, you can depart from this airport and you'll will save this much. It will just tell you. It's just a common flight kit for me to have all of that. And if you just start doing that, you have your flight sorted, and that is a massive expenditure because it's fixed. You need a flight, and you need your stuff to go traveling. So if you get that as low as possible, then you're already on your way to basically traveling just a super light and budget. So those two things, fantastic. I'm gonna look at this as well. Okay, here's another big one, because basically with your costs you can split them into variable and fixed. Your airfare is going to be a fixed cost. You need to do it. Your eating and kind of living expenses while you're abroad, now that is a variable cost. You can make that as expensive or as cheap as possible, and there's a lot of ways to deal with it, but let's kind of look at one for now. That's accommodation. Hotels. When I was traveling, I don't think I stayed in a hotel. I don't think I stayed in a hotel even one time. I stayed in hostels. I stayed in Airbnbs, but not hotels. And the reason being is because there's so many perks. I was traveling solo, and it was intimidating at first, right? You're like, you have certain worries. You're like, I'll stay safe. I'm staying in a dorm with maybe 6, 8, 10, 12 people. Is it safe? There's no privacy, there's not this. But if you're traveling, you're already kind of exercising it's already an exercise in being uncomfortable and pushing your comfort zone. You'll find that once you go hostel life, you can't go back. It's so good. It's better. The privacy aspect, you have so many, especially in Southeast Asia, you have so many hostels where your kind of bedding area is covered by a curtain. You have your own power ports, you have your own lights and everything. They're almost like those Japanese kind of pod rooms. If you don't know what I mean, I might try to link what I'm talking about. But it's just so much cheaper. Going on Booking.com and Hostelworld, you can compare prices and look at the reviews. Hot tip, always look at the recent reviews, because there's probably going to be what you're looking for, rather than a review that's 2 years old. With those, you can drastically decrease how much you're spending. And that's what I did, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I probably wouldn't trade it for 5-star hotels, because honestly, the connections that you make, the interesting characters that you meet, it's insane. It's so much better. So yes, those are places where you can save a lot of money. In fact, those are places where you technically don't even need to spend money at all. There are a lot of hostels out there that want volunteers, so you can potentially work 3 or 4 hours a day, maybe at reception, maybe you're cleaning up rooms or putting on bed sheets, like the easiest things that you could do. And they'll give you a room for as long as you're there, and they'll give you food and anything you want. It's especially awesome if you're deciding to live in a place for like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. It's awesome to kind of stay put in one place and explore the area and explore the culture in kind of like a deeper way, instead of just kind of passing through. So that technically is in all the free stuff that we're going to talk about later. But hostels, look at them in Hostelworld and Booking.com. Great stuff. And now by doing that, you're already saving so much. And there's little tips as well here and there. Like, you can book, big chunks to save. Usually they'll give you a discount if you book in big chunks. But my favorite thing is to book like a day in advance, because you have so much freedom that way. You're just walking around and you're like, I might try a different hostel today, and then you just book. And it's probably one of the better ways to do it, I think. Now, we'll cover what we've gone through so far. And because you're traveling carry-on only, the budget flights are going to be super budget. So budget flights, carry-on only. For the bags, I can list some, but you can always go to that Reddit link that I told you about. But I chose the Osprey Farpoint 40. I might do a little ASMR review later. And then for flights, Skyscanner and Google Flights. For hostels, Hostelworld and Booking.com. If you get a handle on all of that, your trip is already so much cheaper than kind of any other regular person going off for a trip. And here are a few other pieces of advice in that domain as well. The place really depends. The price really depends on where you're going and when you're going. So, my biggest piece of advice for where is Southeast Asia. If you haven't gone traveling and you want to experience some cool stuff, you should definitely go to Southeast Asia. Now, there are countries that are expensive and countries that aren't. I say Southeast Asia because there are a lot of Southeast Asian countries that are relatively inexpensive for Western travelers. Europe can be more expensive. Eastern Europe is pretty inexpensive. South America is inexpensive. Japan can be expensive. Australia can be expensive. It just depends on where you're going, and doing a little bit of research beforehand can really help you out there. Here's a big one. If you travel during peak season, things are just going to be expensive. So, I think I've done that a few times now, that whistling. I might need to cut that out. But if you can go to Japan in cherry blossom season, that is going to be very expensive. Accommodation's going to be expensive. Everything around it is going to be expensive, like the tours and everything. Because that is peak season. Peak season is usually, there's just a lot of tourists. So, demand is high and prices go up. But I think if you travel in off season, then it's very, very cheap. But there's an even better option, because there's a trade-off. If you go in the off season, it's just, the weather might not be great. It might be less lively. But if you go in the shoulder season, so that's between off season and peak season, then you get the best of both worlds. You get cheap accommodation, cheap food, cheap tours, but you also get not bad weather and not bad atmosphere. And the off season and peak season depend on where you're going, right? So autumn is fantastic for Japan, for instance. Autumn is also fantastic for some of the more popular destinations in Europe, because if you go in summer and spring to Western Europe, you're going to be greeted with festivals. Expensive. You're going to be greeted with jacked up tourist prices for everything. It's not the best on a budget, but if you go on the shoulder season, where it's ending there and it's going into winter, so the off season, then you can get a really cheap, a really good deal. So there's that. I'm gonna look at my ultimate list again for some guidance, right? So like I said before, the cheap accommodation is one thing. Free accommodation is another thing, and I already mentioned that you can work at hostels and earn a little bit, earn your stay, and kind of explore at your own pace. Highly recommend that. And if you're wondering how to do that, you simply just ask the staff easily. And a lot of hostels will have their emails on Hostel World and things like that. Message them, talk to them through Facebook. Get creative, get resourceful. They're always looking for English speakers, and they're always looking for people to stay and work there and be social. I can do a whole video on this, but let me know if you want videos like that. But other free accommodation, and this is really cool as well. You can camp in certain countries where there's free pitching. So, for instance, in Scotland and in Poland, for instance, right? I can take a tent and pitch it on public land, and look that up because rules might have changed, but I doubt it. And that's exactly what I did. We went on road trips through the Baltics with a few friends, and we pitched tents all around Poland and had a fantastic time. It's free accommodation, and I love camping, and it was just an awesome experience. I didn't do it all the time, and it's kind of nice to do it sometimes because you save a bit of money, you get to camp, you explore, but on the other hand, you also want to support the local economies. You want to go to the hostels, you want to meet new people, you don't want to always be kind of away from all the action. So there's that. And then other kind of free accommodation, which a lot of people don't know about. You can sit for people, and I'm talking house sitting, dog sitting, and a whole bunch of other stuff, by simply signing up and paying a certain premium on the relevant apps, which I'll also link. I'll link the relevant section in my ultimate guide. But yeah, you can look at all the available properties and message the seller. Message the I guess the person who's looking for someone to sit their house, and you can say, hey, I'm in the area and I want to sit your house, and boom, amazing. You can go to obscure places, and you know, they won't always be, oh, this is Paris, France, and we're looking for a sitter. No, it might be a smaller town somewhere, but that's where all the cool stuff kind of happens. So that's a really underrated tip. House sitting, it's crazy, it's free. You can always give it a go. Highly recommend. Crowd surfing. Oh, not crowd surfing. Couch surfing. Crowd surfing is for another time. Oh god, just my ankles cracking. Am I old? Anyway, couch surfing. This is another one where people just want to meet new people. So they'll offer up a spare room that they have, or a couch. It's just an app. You can go on there, and you're good. You can just go and look up somebody, and if they seem cool, you can meet up with them. You know, always do your due diligence. Be careful. All of the above. You know, if you've got the common sense, it's fine. All right, and those two options are really, really good as well. So working at hostels, sitting at other people's houses, pets and things like that, and couch surfing. Good stuff. What else do we have? Camping. I forgot if I mentioned it. Yeah, camping as well. All free options. All will decrease how much you spend while traveling, because those are the biggest expenses, right? Accommodation, food, and flights. If you get those sorted, you get a really, really, really cheap bill. Food. My favorite thing. I will splurge out on food. That's a weakness. There are so many tips. I'm just thinking of where to start. If you're in a country, eat that country's food. It's the biggest tip. Because if you're looking to get a burger in Thailand, like a Big Mac, that's going to cost you probably like somewhere around $7 to $9 I think, for a meal, for a combo. I forgot how much it was. But if you just simply get their delicious national dishes like pad thai or green curry, red curry, tom yum goong, and you get it just off the side of the street, even in touristy locations, it is less than a quarter of the price. It's so cheap and so good, authentic. It's delicious. Don't be afraid of street food. Use common sense. Are people buying from there? Are locals buying from there? It's probably good. I didn't get food poisoning once in the 300 or so days that I was abroad, so don't worry. And even better is if you do some digging, so don't go off from the touristy area, don't stay there, and kind of go into more local areas. You'll see full restaurants with the locals. Don't be intimidated. Who cares? You're just a dumb tourist. You're going in and you're ordering stuff. You have your phone with you. You can kind of look at what other people are eating. You can be like, give me that. I want to try that. You can look at a menu. You can use Google Translate. Fantastic. You know, they have a camera mode where you can scan things and see what it actually says. And, you know, whatever. You don't need a full-on translation. You can see, like, you can look, like, it says noodles, it says chicken, I'm down. And then you're sorted. So if you shop at markets, if you shop local, then you'll get some cheap eats, and honestly, you can live on just a fantastically small amount every day. And here's another tip as well. And I'm sorry that these are all over the place. It's just mainly me going like brain fart knowledge. I don't know. But it's mainly me just kind of giving you guys a general thing, and I can dig into any one of these topics like really deeply. I can go into hostels, I can go into food, I can go into flights, I can show you guys how to actually all the, you know, little neat tips and tricks. But this is just a broad overview, right? As I was saying, you can just, by just following these tips, you can get so much more for your dollar. And it's really, really good. So, local, everything, that helps. Hostels, that helps. All of that really, really helped me bring the price right down. And under mentioned tip, if you're going to go traveling, you know, go longer than usual, because if you go for a 2-week trip, it's going to cost you it's going to be less bang for your buck than a 4-week trip, and a 4-week trip is going to be less bang for your buck than a 6-week trip, because the fixed costs will just drain your wallet. Because, you know, say that you fly in, and let's just say it costs you $500, everything included, to fly into somewhere, and it costs you $500 to get out, right? And you stay 2 weeks. Well, that 2 weeks already, that's 2 weeks is 14 days. So you already have to divide that $1,000 over 14 days, which is a number I'm not going to try right now, right? But, oops, my laptop. We good. But if it's 4 weeks, then you divide it by 30 days, and it's less. So the longer you stay, the more the fixed costs get spread out over the days. It's more bang for your buck. If you're already there, then that's perfect. You know, you can stay longer and spend your fixed costs kind of spread out. That's what I mean. And also, the longer you stay in places, the better acquainted you get. Like, the more value, the more experience that you get in places. It's better than a week or 2 weeks, because you're still in kind of vacationing mode rather than traveling. You know, you might want to be relaxing, you might want to be doing this and that. But if you're really traveling and you're you're in an exploration and adventure mode, then when you come back, you're like, wow, that was awesome. That was the experience of a lifetime. Yada yada yada, all that good stuff, right? But let me give you some other tips, right? Because there are so many, I don't even know where to begin. Alright. Like the food and entertainment tips, they are always adjusted for what I'm talking about, because sorry, which country I'm talking about, because there are so many different tips, but those are the ones that apply to the most broad. You know, like if you eat local stuff, if you're in Germany, eat German food. You know, if you're in Japan, eat Japanese food. That's how it is. That's much easier. But here are some other expense-saving things that are very, 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 very important, and I made mistakes here, so don't you worry. I'm talking with experience. Traveling means that you... Wow. That was a flush. I can hear my neighbor's flush. Relaxing ASMR, guys. This is how it is. Traveling means currency and currency exchanging and all of that. This is where a lot of people can get really, really effed. I don't know why I just didn't swear. This is not me. But let me give you a few tips. A lot of people, right, they opt for a travel card, meaning they'll go with a card that they can just take out money in the country. That's good, because you're not carrying a lot of cash on you, which means risk of getting stolen and all of that jazz, it's minimized, right? But you have to be very careful with this kind of stuff, right? There are different travel cards, and your bank has different rules for these. You want to go with a travel card that will pass off the conversion fees that MasterCard has, or MasterCard or Visa has. They each have different conversion fees, and banks will add their own fee on top of it, right? And banks will also charge a fee when you take out money, both abroad and your actual home local bank as well. They'll take out fees if you're not careful. So you need to make some decisions on which travel cards you want to go for. You want to really research them. I messed up. I went with a travel card that did exactly that. They charged, like a few cents on a dollar fee. They charged me when I took out money and all of that jazz. And it was like, oh, this is such a waste, but a valuable lesson learned. If you're living in Australia, ING does it. ING does a good job where they will just pass off the regular fees that MasterCard or Visa has. In the States, I'm not quite sure. I did an article on that, and I'll link it somewhere. But I did it through research, so I would like to get other people's opinions on it. But yeah, you need to look at that. So make sure that they don't charge fees when you take out money, because a lot of the times the countries that you're traveling to, they're cash based, meaning you will need to take money out of the local currency and use that instead of just tapping your card, or just swiping your card. You'll need to take out cash. Another big thing is, especially in Europe, but in other countries as well, they'll have ATMs that are owned by banks, and they'll have private ATMs. Never use the private ATMs. They will take out obscene fees from your card. How do you know what a private ATM looks like? You Google it. if it looks like if it's attached to a bank, you're fine. But if it's like a Euronet ATM, and you'll see a lot of those Euronet ones in Europe, don't use it. It's obscene fees for taking out money. Another place that has a lot of fees is Thailand for taking out money. So that's just with normal ATMs, they charge a fee. So what you want to do is take out the max amount you can take out at once and use it like that. Or another tip that a different traveler told me was if you walk into a bank and try to get it out just from the bank and not using an ATM, you won't be charged any fees at all. So just keep wary of those fees. You want to get travel cards that really help you out, rather than keep deducting, because it adds up. So those are good. Another alternative for a travel card, and I realize that a lot of the people who are listening to me currently, thank you by the way, I love the support, are from the US, so you guys are pretty good when this happens. But if you travel with US dollars, it's kind of the de facto currency of the world, right? Certain countries, like in Cambodia for instance, you'll mostly be using US dollars, you won't even be using their local currency. But if you travel with US dollars and you trade them, like you exchange them at good currency points all along, just anywhere that you're traveling, you'll usually get a lot of them that accept it. They'll accept it for sure, and you'll usually get a good rate on it. If I'm traveling with Australian dollars, and even if I find a place that, like, maybe I'm traveling an obscure place that will only trade euros or US dollars, and they might not take Australian currency, but say they did, the fees for that or the exchange rate is going to be arse. It's not going to be good. But US dollars, euros as well, pretty good. So if you're from a country that doesn't use those currencies, convert them to that one in your home country and travel with US dollars, because it's kind of the easiest method of not paying fees or transaction fees or any of those fees on your card. It's just kind of easier to walk around and be like, okay, well, I need extra money now, so let me just find a place and convert it. And always check the conversion rate on Google and see how much they're charging, wherever you're converting it, because there are some that are kind of scammy and some of them are legit. So checking it first is all good, and probably the better thing to do, right? Obviously, there's risks, because if you're carrying a lot of US currency on you, or any currency on you, there's a risk of it, being lost or stolen. But that's a risk that you might need to take. You can always hire lock boxes, or in hostels always have lockers that you can just throw a lock on, so it's all good. And yeah, so another thing that you should look out for: currency conversion and travel cards. You can save a lot of money there. Making money while traveling. Teaching is the best way you can make money while traveling, because if you speak English, everybody immediately wants, you can get a job really easily. I've done a whole section on this. I think I've done a whole article on this. Again, I'll try to link those as well. Man, I'm going to regret all these links. I'm going to be like, oh, I said I have to link something. Damn it, I have to go through and do something to link it. But they're important, and if it means that you get to travel, that is something I'm willing to do. You can just do so much. I ran into so many people. There are so many services out there that, again, I'm going to link, that you can find English teaching jobs. There's a lot in China. There's a lot in Japan, like the JET program. There are a lot in Thailand. There are a lot that are remote. So if you're traveling with your laptop and you're looking to earn a few extra bucks, right, you can teach online classes. You can do so much. So that's like a really nice source of income when you're traveling, because a lot of the times, if you're already following all the tips that I'm telling you about, like staying in hostels, you're eating locally, you're trying out the night markets, you're doing all of that, you're flying cheap, you're traveling cheap, you're doing all of that stuff, then your daily expenses just go way down. So you're already kind of living and having all these adventures for a very, very cheap price. But then it's awesome, because in a week, say that you made just $100 or $50 in a week, that goes a ridiculous long way. Yeah, it goes a crazy long way. For $50, that could pay over the amount of like that would pay more than a week of accommodation in certain parts of the world. It's crazy. So a lot of people just don't know about all this kind of stuff. So I hope it's kind of shed some light on certain things. And if you have questions, ask them in the comments because I will answer them. I can answer any question that you have. Don't worry about it. I'll regret that too. But teaching English is one. That's really cool. If you're a developer or a content writer or anything to do with media, you can also make a crazy good, on-the-go remote living kind of like income from that type of work. I ran into so many people doing it. I was doing it because that's kind of my expertise, if I had an expertise. And there's just so much you can do with that, and it doesn't even need to be crazy. If you think you can't do it, chances are, and you're watching this and you're thinking, well, like maybe I could, but there's probably somebody better. If you're already thinking like that, there's a good chance that you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised if there's so many remote jobs that you can do. I'll put some resources for that as well. But there are a few other things that I want to mention before I end this one, because otherwise I will talk about this forever and it will be super unstructured and you'll hate me for it. So if I get a good response for this one, I'll try to make a more structured and nicer kind of video about that. But what are we doing? I almost forgot one of the biggest ones. Work away. There are so many opportunities for people to, like I said with the hostels, like you work for a place to stay and like food and like even a little bit of money. But there are so many other programs as well, like Work Away, where you can work on farms and do all types of crazy stuff there as well. And there are programs where you sign a contract to teach for a year, so you're in like schools and things like that, and you're really getting to travel, and you're getting a salary out of it as well. There are so many like that too. But this video is already going for too long, so I'll link down all of the relevant stuff below. And let me know how you like the kind of the mostly softly spoken, sometimes whispered kind of videos. And I think ASMR advice is probably one of my favorite. You get relaxed, kind of, and you get some information, some learning out of it too. So it's kind of my favorite format to make, at least. But please, truthfully let me know if this was good or bad or somewhere in between or whatever, right? But thank you for all the amazing comments I've been getting. I don't think I've gotten a single negative comment, and I'm blown away, because it's just, I don't know, you would expect somebody to be like, you're not good enough or you suck, but and I haven't had that yet, and that's quite nice. And I've had really constructive criticism, like if somebody's been like, well, I love this and I didn't like this, that's not bad at all, that's awesome. It's just like, well, then I can improve. But thank you for listening, and I had a great time doing this video. So let me know what you liked, what you didn't. Let me know if you have any questions, because I can answer them. Until then, peace, and I will see you